This is Skipper Albert AWOL, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the 3BC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you are listening to AWOL Airwaves on the 3BC. And now, here's today's river tip from Skipper Bill of the Congo Connie. Bill says, if you're gonna listen to Three Sheets, make sure you grab a drink, flash some skin, and keep the kids away from the hippo. Thanks, Bill. And finally, passengers requesting that cheetahs tone down the debauchery should be referred directly to the booking office, where they will receive immediate medical treatment.
I know it sounds sorted, but you'll be rewarded when at last I am given my dues. And injustice deliciously squared, betrayed.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 66 of Three Sheets to the Mouse. We're five average guys with a love for all things Disney, and joining me on this week's show are three guys who still haven't gotten their Jeep to turn over. Tim.
Hola.
Mikey.
Kungaloosh.
And Adam.
Shrunken heads, anyone?
We're here to talk to you about Disney parks, Disney booze, and a little bit of debauchery in between, so sit back, relax, grab a mosquito mojito, and enjoy the adult side of Disney with Three Sheets to the Mouse. So tonight our show is all about the Jungle Cruise. We're paying tribute to one of the classic attractions around the world, not just in Walt Disney World, but in every single Disney park, it seems like. This is, I said, in just about.
Okay, I was going to say, I think there's one that is vacant from. Carry on. This
is true. The Jungle Cruise is one of Disney's classic attractions that has sort of been immortalized in not just the park, but also pop culture. I think when Weird Al writes a song about you, you've made it.
I swear to God, I thought I've heard all of his music. I do not know a Jungle Cruise song.
I do not know a Jungle Cruise song either.
Skipper Dan. Go check it out, Skipper Dan. It's a fun song.
I want to go check it out right now.
Yeah,
but
I'm kind of tempted. I'm like,
because damn,
I won't remember. That's my problem.
Hold on, let's see if we can get this real quick.
I'm a tour guide on the Jungle Cruise ride. Skipper Dan is the name, and I'm doing 34 shows every day. And every time it's the same. Look at all these hippos.
Yeah, it's a great song.
I'm doing 24 shows a day, and everyone is the same. Son of a bitch! Oh my gosh,
it's such. It's pretty. You know what? I might drop it in the show, anyways. It's such a fun song. It makes nods to the classic jokes that everyone talks about, and we'll get into some of it as we get through. But
how recent tonight, is it? Just
2012, 11.
I think it's 11, but I was
might be why I haven't heard it.
Sounds old.
Yeah, it's pretty recent. You know what? I want to say it was on the Chinese Democracy or whatever that was. Apocalypse. No, it was on Apocalypse. Never mind.
So go get it on iTunes, everybody.
Yeah, go get it on iTunes. You know what? So I wanted to pay nod tonight with my drink because it's in my drink is currently in a Shrunken Ned glass, which is the Jungle Witch Doctor, and tonight I'm having a drink that I can't remember how long it's been since I had one of these, but it is a favorite of Colonel Critchlow's Such Bench over at the Adventurers Club, a gin and tonic for me. No gin and tonic, anyone?
I drink them. What gin? That's the question.
I've Aviation Gin, actually.
I know them well.
It's pretty good.
You know what? There were several of those bought by the ladies last night at the hotel I was staying at, so it must be a good drink.
You know what? I honestly haven't had it in a long time because I don't really like the taste of tonic, but maybe I'm just getting older and I kind of like it. It's super refreshing. So, Adam, what are you drinking tonight?
Tonight I have the Vidal Blanc, and that's from Franklin Hill Vineyards. It's a semi-dry white wine. It's pretty decent.
Nice.
It's one of my favorite whites by them.
Tim, what do you got tonight?
Oh, my drink is too also inspired by the Jungle Cruise, and I'm drinking the backside of water. I kind of overdid it yesterday for Cinco de Mayo, so I'm just taking it easy tonight with some agua.
Wait, turn it a little bit, like 90 degrees to the left. I want to see the right side of water. Oh, that looks really good. What about the front? Let me see the front.
That was the front.
Oh, yeah, the front
But
looks
you can
better.
actually look at the bottom of water in that.
Yep.
That's really interesting.
Well, actually, though,
360 degrees
if you
water.
tilt it over, isn't that technically the top of water?
Or is it tilted water?
I don't know. Why is right side up the exact same as upside down?
Wait, right side up is normal.
Is it?
Yeah, right side up would mean it's the right way up, right?
Well, if you have the right side facing up,
And it would be lying down.
I
Then it
guess
would-
that's
yeah,
right.
then it's
You know,
falling.
either way, right side up doesn't mean what we think it means. Downside
Mikey-
up and upside down, that's what means the exact same.
Mikey, speaking of strange things, what are you drinking tonight?
I've got a double scatterbrain brewed by the Bearded Iris Brewing Company out of Nashville, Tennessee. It's a double IPA with passion fruit, citrus, and pine. Because, like, it's an IPA, you had to fucking add more air freshener to it.
Why would you add pine?
Yeah, that's a little weird.
I'm just reading the label, man. It's not too bad. It's in a tall boy can.
Maybe what they mean is the pine comes from the Chinook hops.
It says
Does it have
pine,
Chinook-
passion fruit, and citrus. You know what I taste in it?
Hops.
Nope, I taste pine.
I think that's the hops.
Well,
No. Well, hops has a very, like... Pine has a
Chinook
very
hops.
distinct... Not flavor, but smell.
I can say flavor because this tangent. I once made my own cover spray for deer hunting, and it was I would bottle it. It does not taste good, but you basically boil pine needles and acorns and other offal from and it just what I should have done is I should have bottled it and canned it, and
There you go.
could have made $13 a 4-pack out of it.
Seriously.
Made some hipsters happy.
There you go.
You know what? Nothing's better in this day and age than a happy hipster.
Is that even possible?
Well, you know what? I've never seen an unhappy hipster with a glitter beard.
This is true.
Or now, what is it? Putting lay flowers in their beard? Is that the thing now?
Yeah.
Clip-in flowers.
I saw that this morning.
This is why I would never do a beard.
Why? Because you want
That's
to
the
put
reason why
flowers
you
in
wouldn't
it?
do it. It's not in your genes, but it's because you'd be tempted to put flowers on it.
Or sprinkled. I mean, I'm sorry. Or sparkled.
Hey,
Later.
I've had sprinkles in my beard, but that's just because I'm an aggressive donut eater. So
It's a flavor saver.
that's right.
Speaking of no beards, Adam, this week on 3 Sheets to the Mouse Facebook page, we had a Throwback Thursday.
Oh.
Let's talk
Oh.
about baby faces.
That was 6 years ago, though.
I thought I had a baby face. But my God, you take that beard away.
That was 6 years ago. That was a long time
6
ago.
years ago, I think I'm looking at like a 22-year-old Adam Blistein.
I will take that. But yeah, that was 6 years ago, right? Yeah, that
Yeah,
was 6 years ago. It was
2012.
also
Yeah.
a little heavier then, too.
If I shave my beard, I look like I'm 12 too. That's why I don't shave it.
So let's get into it. It's time to go back to school. We're going to get our DHD at the Jungle Cruise. So, Mikey, why don't you give us a start here?
All right, I get to go firsties. I get there. Hang on. Okay. So, Disneyland over in California, it broke ground July 21st, 1954. It opened on July 17th of the following year. So that means Walt had less than one full calendar year to get the entire sumbitchin' thing built, including all the attractions and the groundbreaking technology that was supposed to go into those attractions.
Let's just stop right there and just gasp at amazement that got done in 1 year, and it takes 9 years to build Pandora.
Okay, well, look, there's a little bit of difference there. I mean,
a little bit more technology.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't dealing with unions and union labor and OSHA.
Yeah, OSHA.
There's a little bit
OSHA
of a difference
is a big
there.
thing.
Well, he
Rights
did
could
have
kill you
some-
back then, kind of situation.
He was basically using contractors that had never been, they were like, yeah, I'll take this job. And then they're like, wait, you want me to build what out of concrete? I thought I was building buildings. So yeah, that's kind of literally the groundwork for what's going on there back in the 50s when the Jungle Cruise it's not even in, it's just coming around. So you might think that, although the park didn't break ground until 54, the inspiration for the Jungle Cruise actually starts back in 1952 when Disney's film The African Lion began being produced. It was a movie that was released as part of Walt Disney's True Life Adventures, a non-fiction narrative that Walt was passionate and definitely behind as part of his educational side of wanting, to educate the masses. And the African Lion actually showcased both the horror and the beauty of life on the African savanna. And watching the film, Walt was absolutely fascinated with how gorgeous the scenic backdrops of Africa were. And he made that one of his personal ambitions to incorporate a jungle into Disneyland. And obviously this led to the creation of Adventureland that we see in Disney World, Disneyland. But The Lions of Africa wasn't the only film that inspired the Jungle Cruise. There was an earlier movie in 1951 called The African Queen, and it's actually still heralded right now as one of the American Film Institute's top 100 motion pictures of all time. So it was it wasn't just a fluff piece. It's still, critically acclaimed.
It's an amazing movie. It really is. Bogart and Hepburn.
Yeah.
Never saw
Not
it.
Audrey. Not Audrey Hepburn. Catherine Hepburn.
Kathy. I'm on a first name basis.
As well as you should be.
I should be, shouldn't I? And that film was not only heavily favored as one of the early storylines for the attraction, but it also gave way to the style of the steamboats that we end up seeing used later on. Walt's actual, his ideal dream, his vision for this attraction was he wanted to transport the guests to an entirely different world, a world of the jungles of Africa. He wanted people to experience a boat ride like nothing else that's out there. He wanted to feature a real boat skipper and actual living animals and, on an honest to God, not an honest river, but he wanted it to be like a live, body of water. He wanted it to, your skipper would pilot your boat as it winds around the rivers through all these different turns, and the skipper would actually end up providing like an educational type of dialogue about the different animals you'd be seeing along your trip. Kind of like that, Richard Kiley guy from the Jurassic Park, movie at the very beginning, before shit hits the fan. In addition to all these animals, Walt wanted it to look like a flippin' jungle. He wanted you to feel like you were inside a different landscape than, California. So he had to create a forest of exotic vegetation in less than a... So this attraction had to basically feature exotic vegetation in less than a year. And to tackle this, Walt hires he's known as the horticulturalist to the stars up in Hollywood, a guy named Bill Evans. And Bill, no stranger to Walt. Walt had actually hired him to do the landscaping around his Holmby Hills estate. And Walt was so impressed with what that looked like when it came down to we needed to have an area in Adventureland and around Adventureland, look like you are in a tropical setting. He called up Bill on it, and he's the perfect guy to actually talk to because Bill was a world traveler and had been to several different jungles, so he knew a thing or two about the foliage in a jungle. He also he knew that the foliage in a jungle is actually a little underwhelming to most people because everybody is used to seeing Hollywood jungles, which are much more denser with plants and they're much brighter shades of green. So Bill decided to take a Hollywood approach to it, and he opted to use a wider variety of plant life to kind of recreate a lush rainforest environment. He wanted to basically give the look that Walt imagined, because Walt made the claim at one time he wanted to have the best darn jungle this side of Costa Rica. And to that end, Evans used the actual population boom of Los Angeles as a resource and was able to harvest native palm trees that would have otherwise just been bulldozed down and discarded. He was able to get those and transport and then replant around the attraction there of the Jungle Cruise. So you've got what's his name there? Who did I just talk about?
Bill Evans.
Yeah, you got Evans, and I skipped over this earlier, so I've already done fucked it up. The main Imagineer was a guy named Gough.
Harper Gough.
Harper Gough was the main Imagineer. How did I skip over that? I suck at this, Scott. Why'd you hire me? Jiminy crickets.
No, he had nothing.
Yeah, Harper Gough was the guy who was in charge of putting all the engineering part together. And, yeah. Well, there was a third person involved in this that goes under the radar when you think about most attractions. You had Gough handling the engineering of it. You had Evans handling the plant life. But someone had to coordinate the construction and laborers and, like Adam was talking OSHA and, people like that. And that man, as a man, actually his endeavors in Disneyland made it likely, why we have Disney World and Tokyo Disney and other major Disney theme parks that were built. His name, he was called Admiral Can Do, which it can-do, not like can do, like he was, from Africa. His name was Joseph Fowler.
Joe Fowler. You said Admiral, and immediately I was like, Admiral Joe Fowler.
Yeah, he's kind of a big deal. He's a retired Navy admiral with a master's degree from MIT in naval architecture. He personally designed the USS Lexington and Saratoga. So, when it comes to World War II department, most folks have heard of him. Except
he also personally built the Mark Twain, the Lily Bell, and the Liberty Bell and the Columbia.
Because naval architecture. And you know what? Shit, if Disney would have launched a cruise line back then, this guy would have built them too.
Oh, hell yeah.
He was kind of a big deal. But because of, he ran several shipbuilding facilities, actually internationally, Disney just happens to know the guy, as Disney just happens to know people, and says, hey, I got this thing going on. It's, I'm building a theme park. You want to come help out? So without his hand in all of this, a lot of the stuff you see at Disneyland probably wouldn't have made it done in 361 days. So this guy, I've read he's been called a savant.
He is a Disney legend for a myriad of reasons.
Now, it didn't all go off without a hitch. There were some hurdles. And for starters, Walt's grand vision, like I said earlier, involved having a live boat ride with a live skipper and live animals. And that's too many moving parts. Specifically, the animals, we've all been on the Kilimanjaro safari at some Kilimanjaro safari. God bless it. I need another drink of beer. I can't talk. That's better. We've all been on the Kilimanjaro safaris. And you've not seen the critter that you're supposed to see when you get to the paddock. Okay, it's like fucking Jurassic Park. The T-Rex, he ain't going to come out. So
even if you do put a goat out
even there. If you do, no, he came out for the goat, but it was after Samuel Jackson done rebooted the system. I mean Nick Fury, sorry. So, if the tiger's asleep or the gators won't surface on a boat ride like that, it's just basically you're taking a canoe ride through the lawn and garden department of your Home Depot. There's not anything to see except flowers, plants. So Walt's like, you know what? Fine. You don't think real animals work? Won't you build me animals? I want you to make me robots. Put me robot animals in there. And they were like, robots and rivers don't work very well because water and electronics. And this problem was quickly solved because they went back and they watched The African Queen again, and they talked to the production company that put that together, and they realized that a lot of those shots you see, the boat is actually hardly interacting with the water, and a lot of the special effects they use, the camera angle is just so that you can't see electronics or puppeteers on the other side of it. So that's where they got the idea of, you know what, we don't have to have electronics in the water. We can hide stuff with vegetation and make sure the boat goes around a certain angle where you'll never, ever, ever see it. So that's how we got the 100% reliable animatronic animals of the Jungle Cruise. 100%.
Wait, did you just say 100% reliable animals in Jungle Cruise?
100% reliable animals on the Jungle Cruise. You know what? It wasn't 100% reliable. The vegetation. For all the work that Bill Evans did to recreate this jungle atmosphere as quickly as possible, you can't rush time. So as an experienced horticulturist, that he was, he knew how to design something with the future in mind. So he was able to plant this and know that over the course, because plants are going to grow and they're going to flourish. So, in 2 or 3 years, it's going to look great, but right now, not so much. And Walt says, no. I want right now because I've poured every dime I have into this. So Bill conceded and said, okay, let's see what I can do. He used a lot of the existing orange trees on the property and took some of them that were being bulldozed down and replanted them upside down with the roots on the top and the actual, flowering portion underground. And they will actually grow like that, and they'll live like that. And what you end up with is this stalky trunk with these gnarly-looking vines coming out the top of it that are the actual roots. Definitely lends itself in the landscape to looking somewhat like a jungle atmosphere. And he also ended up adding wood to existing trees, like adding branches from other trees, finding a way to scabbard them on there, and bulking out the trunks a little bit. All of this to kind of help with, hiding the rest of the park while you're on the attraction. And also Marty Sklar's car. Because Imagineer Marty Sklar made the mistake of parking behind a building that he wasn't supposed to. So for like a couple of weeks, the Jungle Cruise boat would pass and you'd see his car right on the other side of the trees. Awesome. So I'm sure he caught hell for that. This was back before he was like the Imagineering god
the
that
big
he became.
shot.
Yeah,
the big shot.
So this Jungle Cruise attraction was one of Walt's personal passions. It was like anything he envisions. He wanted, he felt it an affront to him personally when something didn't go right or someone says it couldn't be done. He was rumored to be a very, very, very difficult man to work with during its construction, but also all of Disneyland, if you think about it. Because the guys, like I say, he sunk every dime into this, and he was told it would never work out. And he was told the initial quote to build it was only $4 million for the whole park. It cost $16 million by the time it was done. And if he hadn't been so particular, we probably wouldn't have the ride that we have now. That's worth keeping around. So, I think speaking of the ride, Scott, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. So let's get into a little bit about the Walt Disney World ride, built in 1971. This was an opening day attraction for Disney World. It was one of the most iconic rides, even back when this was already in Disney World. So they had to bring it to it was in Disneyland. They had to bring it to Disney World. They wanted to make sure it was included. It's pretty much a very similar ride to that of Disneyland. The same construction methods, the same vegetation. They had to bring in some sort of displaced vegetation because Florida being sort of tropical, it was a lot easier to grow some of these plants. A lot of bamboo, tons of bamboo, because bamboo grows quickly and it hides things. Adam, how much research did you do into the construction stuff?
I didn't. It wasn't my topic.
No, it wasn't.
I can. I have some. I mostly chose California stuff. That's the problem.
That's okay. we can go into it.
I have all the names of the boats.
Well, there you go. You know what? We'll get into that real quick. So in 1971, because of the popularity of the Disneyland version, it was an obvious choice for inclusion into Walt Disney World's Adventureland. So Mark Davis, Imagineer Mark Davis, decided he was going to be the one to take on the project of bringing Disneyland's Jungle Cruise to Disney World. Disney World's Jungle Cruise has a few more sight gags that we'll get into when we get into the actual ride. But Mark Davis created a very different experience than what was at Disneyland. It's definitely a unique feel to the Jungle Cruise, to Disney World's Jungle Cruise. So construction began in the spring of 1969, and the attraction finally opened on October 1st, 1971. Where it has been a staple since opening day, almost 50 years. For almost 50 years, it's been it has been a legendary attraction at this point. But most importantly, some of the things about construction, and when we talk about all too often in the Disney community, we talk about plussing. The Jungle Cruise was one of the very first attractions to be plussed throughout its history, in both Disneyland and Disney World. This was a ride that Walt was constantly tinkering with, changing a little bit. Mike, I don't know if you saw this, but Disneyland's version was supposed to be a serious ride.
Yeah, and it by the ride you see today, yeah, it was definitely, and it started out being a serious ride. Like the original script, even though they lost the live animals, they still kept the whole educational side of it. And it still pulled in huge crowds on a daily basis. But yeah, Walt heard a mom tell a kid, no, we're not going to ride that because we did it last time. And he got offended by that. So that's why he brought Mark in to make the changes, Scott.
Yeah, and I would like everyone, if you can, take 10 minutes, go over to YouTube and Google Jungle Cruise Thurl Ravenscroft. So back in 1955, Thurl Ravenscroft did this like LP narration of the Jungle Cruise, and it was supposed to be very, very serious.
The dragon blood trees of the area actually bleed red when cut. And the ever-fresh orchids need no song.
Everybody knows Thurl Ravenscroft when you hear the voice, Tony the Tiger, the Grim Grinning Ghost. He's in the Enchanted Tiki Room. I think he's Melvin the Moose in Country Bears. I think so.
The moose talks?
The
he does.
3 heads. There's 3 heads on the wall. A buffalo, a moose, and then a deer. And I want to say he's Melvin the Moose.
I don't want to go down a tangent with this because that opens up a lot of questions for me. So
no,
just keep moving, Scott.
They
keep
talk
moving.
anymore.
Do what?
Very, very briefly. They got cut a lot.
They used to talk a lot more than they do now.
They were kind of like MCs of the show. But we'll get into that when we do the Country Bear Disney history. But if you go listen to this narration, it's a much more serious ride. It wasn't the fun and jokes.
I think they updated the jokes when they actually put in Trader Sam. Because that started back in 1957, so it didn't stay serious for too long.
No, it's only a couple years.
But again, it was Mark Davis, who rode through the Jungle Cruise with a stopwatch and timed every scene to see how long a guest member would be looking at it, so he could figure out what type of lines he could start feeding to the skipper. And he also made a lot of changes to the scenes and the animatronics and stuff like that, because eventually they started, having some issues with the water and electronics and stuff like that. So he was trying to revamp all that so you wouldn't have so much exposed to all the elements.
Mm-hmm. And to this day, thanks to Mark, we have some of the iconic scenes: the Indian elephant pool, the African veldt, the Lost Safari. All of these were not at the original Jungle Cruise. And
I mean, according to the records that I have on this particular part, there was an update yearly from 1961 to 1964.
Mm-hmm. It was almost constantly under construction because Walt wanted to make sure nobody got bored with it. So some of the notes about the ride. When you look down at the water, you see it's this brown, murky water. Now, I know probably everyone's like, well, that's obvious because, it's Florida, it's going to get murky. No, actually, that water is filtered. It's crystal clear. They just dye it because, spoiler alert, people, the boat is on a track.
The water's 5 feet deep, actually, from what
It is pretty deep.
It is.
Which is a lot deeper than I thought. I knew it was on a track, but 5 feet's a lot deeper than I actually thought it was.
I think it's actually deeper than the part of the water where the Mark Twain riverboat goes.
It is, because the Jungle Cruise is actually on ground level. It's the lowest elevation in the entire Magic Kingdom. It's on ground level. So you actually go down lower than almost everything else in the park.
Oh my God, is there a hatch from the utilidors where you can depressurize and access the Jungle Cruise?
From what I do understand, there is... so the Jungle Cruise has 2 islands inside the attraction. There is a hatch that you can access to those 2 islands.
Oh my God, I want that tour.
Not available.
You get me on whatever tour gets me in the utilidors, I'm getting on that island. I'm finding it. I've seen enough movies and played enough video games. All right, I've played Splinter Cell. I'm getting on that island. People are getting knocked out. I'm taking out some... No, I'm not, Disney. I love your park.
Mikey has been lost to the wilderness. So, Adam, all the boats that we have at the Jungle Cruise are specifically named.
Yes. Give me 1 second. I have to get to the Disney. We're doing Disney World first because I have them for both parks.
Yeah, we'll do Disney World first.
So we have Amazon Annie, and I'm gonna kill this. Bomo Kandi Bertha.
No, you got it. You nailed it.
Congo Connie, Ganges Gertie, Ayawada Irma. There's way too many consonants in that one.
Irrawaddy.
Yeah.
They're all named after different rivers across the world.
Mongolia Millie, Nile Nelly. Oh boy.
Orinoco
Ida.
Orinoco Ida.
Yeah, that. Rashuru Ruby, Sanakuru Sadie, Sengal Sal. This one starts with a U.
Ukiali.
Ukali Lali. Volta Val. Wamba Wamba. Wamba Wanda. Sorry, that's way too close to too many different things. And Zambezi Zelda. And we have one retired boat, which was retired in 2000, and that was Congo Kate.
Yes.
And I also have the names for the Jungle Cruise.
We'll get to that in due time. Funny story. So, we'll get to the queue in just a minute, but as we go through the queue, there's always the jokes about the boat sinking, blah, blah, blah. One boat actually did sink in Magic Kingdom.
Did it really?
The Sankuru Sadie actually sank in 2004. And then they fixed it up, repaired it, and returned it to service. But they're all fun names. They have adventurous names to them. It's kind of a nod to each of the different areas that the Jungle Cruise themes. So the queue, I think the queue is probably one of the most iconic parts of the ride. But get this. For 20 years, the Jungle Cruise queue, it was themeless. It was just a bunch of blank walls. Prior to the 90s, it was just boring, blank walls, and all you really had were the sounds of the jungle that were piped in on the jungle side. The boats that would idle and go, and you'd hear the motor sounds, and then the echoed sounds from Downtown Adventureland, and that was really it. So in 1991, the first plus to this queue started. And that's where we have these props start to come in. So they bring in all these props with little nods to different things around the parks, around Disney history, and sort of create this theme that this is the Jungle Navigation Company Limited. So you have this headquarters of this navigation company that was taking tourists out on the river and showing them, the different sites of the river. The first scene to ever be created was the dispatch office that we all see today when you walk in the queue. It's got so many different artifacts and so many different nods to Disney movies. Mikey talked about the True Life Adventure series, The African Queen, Swiss Family Robinson. All of these nods to past Disney movies, past Disney people, really create this fun queue where you can walk through it a number of times and not see the same thing, and not see the same thing twice, really. But with this queue came, I think, one of my favorite parts of the parks, and that's the queue audio that comes with it, the background music. And that's where you get Skipper Albert AWOL broadcasting on the DBC, the Disney, they don't really say it, but the Disney Broadcasting Company. And you have this peppy collection of like early 30s jazz, swing, and like a radio broadcaster kind of talking over the sounds, kind of like taking you into an actual different period of time. I can't say enough about the music and the little quips and the fun puns that they do throughout the queue.
It sets up for what you're going to experience later.
Yeah, the puns do anyway.
Yes, like I picked out a couple of favorites that Skipper Albert AWOL says during the background music, and again, this is like a 45-minute background loop that they constantly do throughout the day, and really one of the first to have like a background music in the queue that kind of told the story onto the ride. So at one point he says that
any travelers who may need to exchange foreign currency during their voyage needn't worry. There are banks all along our rivers.
Wait, are we supposed to laugh now?
Yes.
Oh no. I think we're going to have to get a loop, like a 20-minute loop for the crickets on this particular episode if we're dealing with the jokes from the Jungle Cruise.
Well, now I think this one's funny, and you know what? They're not as obvious as that. At one point in the queue, Albert AWOL mentions that
mating season has begun at the African elephant staging grounds. All boats are cautioned to use extreme care when traveling through this part of the jungle. Attention all skippers. Tomorrow night's bachelor party for Skipper Carl, originally scheduled for the African elephant staging grounds, will now be held at the Indian elephant pool. Proper swimwear is mandatory.
Elephants historically don't mate with people, so I don't know why you couldn't still have the bachelor party there.
But they sure do have big trunks.
You think it's water, but it's not.
But they also do some historical tie-ins. At one point, Albert AWOL has a message he reads out a message from Sir Henry Morton Stanley.
Here's a message from Sir Henry Morton Stanley to, I can't quite make out this name. It's Dr. Livingston, I presume. Please meet Sir Stanley at the falls.
It's a nod to Sir Henry Morton Stanley and Dr. David Livingstone, who Dr. David Livingstone was a British, really an archaeologist who traveled to Zanzibar in like 1871 and got lost, and Dr. Stanley was the one that found him. So it's it's a nice tie-in to the ride, tie-in to the puns, but also really transports you to a 1930s kind of British imperialism. It's kind of cool. But one of my other favorite parts of the queue is that as you walk out, and really as you walk in, because the walk in and walk out are like right next to each other. And FYI, no gift shop here. No gift shop. So when you walk in the queue and when you walk out the queue, you see these crates and shipping containers. Disney's made a point to give reference to past Disney history, and some of those are addressed to different characters, different people in Disney history. Mikey mentioned Harper Gough. There you can find a crate filled with Gough's brand crocodile-resistant rubber pants. with an address of 250 Main Street, Fort Collins, Colorado.
Is that where they brew Coors beer?
That's Golden.
Oh.
Fort Collins is home to Fat Tire.
I'll take it.
So
Fort Collins for 100, Alex.
But Fort Collins is the town which Harper Gough is originally from, and he used a lot of that to base his design of Main Street, USA, and Disneyland, and a little bit of Disney World on his hometown of Fort Collins, Colorado. But also, I love the Adventurers Club, so you can find some shipping crates addressed to Otis T. Wren and Pamelia Perkins, both members of the Adventurers Club. And then you can go over across the street at the Jungle Skipper's Navigation Canteen. Yeah. I don't know. There's like 10 fucking words in that restaurant.
Yeah, it's really, really long. We're eating there, but don't ask me what the name of it is.
Yeah.
I made the reservation.
Adam calls up. He says, "Hey, I want to eat at the Jungle Cruise restaurant."
Okay, wait. No, I never call up anybody. It's all on the internet unless I can't.
We couldn't with the big meetup reservations.
So the actual name, everyone knows as the Skipper Canteen, but the actual name is the Jungle Navigation Company Limited Skipper Canteen.
Incorporated.
.com.
World famous jungle cuisine. All tastes like chicken.
Only the chicken really tastes like chicken now.
Mm-hmm. Another gag in the queue is there's a menu that says everything tastes like chicken. But no, queue's awesome. What do you guys think of it?
The music's not loud enough lately, in my opinion.
No. Sometimes they don't even play it.
Yeah, so it's very hit or miss as to whether you're going to get a full show.
I would say if you don't get the music, because that is a lot. I mean, every time we've ridden it, which is one. Fuck me. Yeah. So the one time we rode it, the music was going. I enjoyed the queue because I enjoyed all the quote-unquote artifacts and stuff they had scattered around and all this stuff. That kind of, the way it was themed, it definitely reminded you of something that you would have seen in the 1930s or 40s. I mean, it had a kind of an Indiana Jonesy kind of feel going on with a lot of that stuff, okay? And what helped sell it was, as Scott mentioned, the old jazz music and the radio announcer voice coming across the top of it. That really helped sell it. So if Tim says the music wasn't playing, all I can think of is that's basically the cue from Expedition Everest.
No, Expedition Everest is amazing.
Yeah, they have some great things in there, including the footprint that Josh Gates found on.
I don't find Everest's cue all that great.
Oh, I love Everest cue.
I know this is an Everest thing, but there's not like a lot of ambient sound that I can really remember from the queue.
I wish, you know what?
The phone rings. This is for a different. We have to.
Yeah, let's say that for I could get into how awesome that queue is and how it could be a little bit better.
I enjoyed the Jungle Cruise queue for me because the music was on, but I can definitely see if the music is off. It's just walking through
switchbacks
that have some hotel decoration kind of things happening, I guess, from the 30s in Africa.
I mean, for me, I guess it's because I've ridden this ride a lot. I'll try to fast pass it as it's usually a fast pass that you can almost always get. So it's very rare that I actually wait on the queue when I go on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Because and it moves pretty fast now. It's not a super long line most of the time.
But finally, as all queues do, they come to an end.
Did you write that joke? Is that a joke? Is that a pun?
It wasn't meant to be, but we can make it a pun.
Oh no, no, you're lying. You're a lawyer. I know better.
Shit.
I may or may not have allegedly, hypothetically, planned to say that. So as you get on the ride, first scene after you leave the dock, you wave goodbye to civilization, all the nice people on the dock, and you wave goodbye to all the mean people on the dock too, because you gotta be friendly.
All the pretty people on the dock,
and
wave to all the ugly people because they have feelings too.
Yeah. The first scene that you go into the Amazon rainforest, and this is where you get a lot of you see some sceneries with butterflies. They grow anywhere from 12 inches to a whopping 1 foot because they're
are they the rulers of the jungle, Scott?
They might be. But one of my favorite scenes is you go past Inspiration Falls. And this was Mark Davis's creation. This set of water, falling trickly nicely over some rocks, inspires you to go deeper and deeper into the jungle.
I see. Depending on your skipper, you get 2 different lines for that particular vignette. There's that one, and then there's one that just, I mean, it's stupid. I mean, most
that's
but
that's
it's bad.
because
like, it's not funny.
That's because in 2013 they removed the potty humor.
Yeah.
See, I saw a video from last year where the skipper still used that the PJ.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
It's still around. It just it depends.
Well, that guy's
as prevalent as you.
That guy's a badass.
She did an amazing job.
That girl's a badass? Why couldn't it be a girl, Scott? Why does it always have to be a guy skipper?
Well, that's because
it's not a skipette.
Fun fact.
Up until 1994, they weren't allowed to have girl skippers.
Yes.
So far, some of my favorite skippers have been
girls.
girls.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Finally, you go past Inspiration Falls, and you start to get into. You start to go a little deeper into the jungle, and then you get into the the Nile River.
Well, no. First, it goes to the Congo River.
Or the Congo River. Sorry. I'm in denial.
Because it goes on for Niles and Niles and Niles.
Gosh. Some of these jokes are so brutal when, like, he's getting nothing from the guests.
So who's got the Congo?
I got the Congo. Congo was a 1995 science fiction action adventure film loosely based on Michael Crichton's novel of the same name. Oh,
Congo.
Shit. Hang on. Let me get my other notes up then. So just as Inspiration Falls, which will leave you going, ooh, and on the right side of your boat, you'll come across the first vignette of the Congo River portion of the ride, and it's basically an empty pygmy camp. You'll have your skipper telling you all about his friends that have come to have a party with him and welcome him, but the pygmy camp is just completely empty, save for some canoes. And if depending on who your skipper is, you might get the joke about the canoe joke in there. And I'm not going to try to spoilers and ruin it, but it's a bad joke. It's a bad joke. I don't remember it necessarily canoe. Okay. Moving on.
Ow.
I know, Scott laughed, which he's had too much to drink.
I love these jokes. They're dad jokes.
I really
They're
think
great.
this ride would be a shitload better if you could get drunk in Adventureland and then go on it.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Technically, now you can if you go to the.
You can't get drunk unless,
Skipper's
like,
Cantina
you're
Limited,
literally a pygmy.
Incorporated.
So, yeah, no, it's just an empty camp. There's like a small selection of canoes. I'm going to say, though, I really like the art style used on those canoes. It looks really cool. It definitely makes it look like it's exotic. They're fun. I would totally rock those in my local pond or lake.
Would you dare say they're themed to a couple of Disney characters?
Didn't look at them that closely, Scott.
Oh, if you do next time, there's one that may or may not kind of resemble Mickey Mouse, and one that may or may not kind of resemble Donald.
Okay, I'm game. I'll check it out next time I'm there.
I mean, very loosely.
YouTube
It's not like a hidden Mickey where it's completely, obvious.
Is it the color scheme?
No. They spoiler alert: the Mickey head has these like horns that make a shape of like two Mickey ears, kind of.
Okay, yeah, I missed that entirely. But I remember the horns. I just thought they were horns.
Yeah, they're designed to kind of look like Disney characters.
I'll go back and watch it again because I like me a horny boat.
There you go.
So yeah, you've got this empty pygmy camp. It's pretty small, and the skipper does his best to keep your attention on that side, and just keeps describing and blah blah yada yada about the camp. And holy shit, there's a snake! That is on the left side. You got this python on the left side. So he like tries to bait you over there, and then it's like, oh my gosh, look out for the snake. And people are like, I saw the snake an hour ago.
That's not a python. It's plastic.
It's a plastic python.
Don't get too close because he might develop a crush.
Exactly. He's a hugger. I will say it's a very good looking python, but it's the size of an anaconda. So. Come on,
it's
Disney.
a big python.
Let's make it happen, man. I know that was a film, but shit, I think that even took place in the Congo. Jennifer Lopez.
Ice Cube.
So, you know, the boat.
Anaconda, don't.
Yeah, that's
yeah, and Jane and Henry and the boat's going to pass the Fonda's Anaconda in the back of her Honda. And you're going to navigate through a turn, because all of this is like turns. So like in one turn, you got the pygmy camp, and then you make an outside turn, and there's the anaconda. You make an inside turn, and your skipper goes on and on about his camp. Well, let's just go to my camp for a second. Let's get up here and let's look. And the skipper will trail off because you get to see the skipper's camp, which is actually better appointed than the pygmy camp. The skipper's camp has nice cloth tent, which actually looks like a gazebo or a pop-up tent that you might get like at Home Depot, like a pop-up canopy thing with like walls with like cloth windscreens around it. That's what it look. Go back and look at it again. That's what it looks like. Anyway, you got that, but you got these nice 1940s style, gas lanterns hanging from it, and they're lit up and stuff like that. And he's got like a little cook grill and stuff happening. You're like, okay, this is great, except for the fact that a bunch of gorillas are ransacking this thing, and they flipped his Jeep upside, the skipper's Jeep upside down, and you get one of two jokes here, I think. I think you get, these gorillas are driving me bananas. Or you get the much better joke about, oh my gosh, look what they've done to everything. I can't believe this. Look, they've painted my Jeep blue. It used to be yellow. So
I like that one. I like that one a lot.
That's a better joke,
We
because
don't get the one
it's
that says
they finally got
over.
Oh, that's a better joke than they're driving me bananas. I don't know. I will say that of the three kind of display vignettes or whatever in the Congo area, I believe this is the only one that actually has an animatronic in it. There's nothing in the Pygmy Village. The snake doesn't move, like not even his tongue flickers. And I want to say maybe one or two of the gorillas are just moving enough where you can see they're moving while they're shaking some underwear or sheets or something.
The one with the gun that is pointed at himself moves up and down like.
That's pretty dark.
Well, he does. There's one gorilla holding a shotgun to his face, looking down the barrel.
No shit.
Yeah.
Huh. I'll be damned.
Yeah.
I'll be damned.
But yeah.
Attaboy Disney. So and that's the end of the Congo portion of our journey,
which leads right into the Nile. And if you don't believe me,
you're in denial.
Because it goes on for Niles and Niles.
It's the longest river in Orlando. So that's my section, I guess. The first scene you come across on the Nile River is the African elephant pool, and you get a couple of corny little jokes.
Wait, how do you know it's the African elephants?
Because you're in Africa.
Because their accents.
Because of their floppy ears.
Well, no, that's not the joke that they give usually.
Oh, no, the one I watched, literally the joke was, you know how they're African elephants? Because they're floppy ears. Really? That was the freaking joke on one that on one of the YouTube videos I watched.
Well, no, every once in a while the skipper will veer off the actual joke, because the actual joke is, how do you know they're African elephants? Well, because we're in Africa.
Yeah, that's the joke.
That's fine. Listen. Okay. This ride is a the skipper makes it or breaks it. Okay, I don't want to say it right now, but
I have heard exactly what Mikey's talking about, where the skipper goes off script and says, well, actually, someone in the boat will shout, because we're in Africa, and they know the joke. And the skipper, I know exactly what you're talking about. The skipper goes, well, actually, it's the elongated tusks and the floppy ears that make them distinct from every other elephant that we see in the wild. And he goes on to like a scientific version of it. It's great.
So once you pass that scene, you come across the African veldt, where numerous African animals watch some lions watching a sleeping zebra.
Rule of the jungle.
He's dead tired.
Yeah. Rule number 1 of the jungle: don't be a zebra.
Don't be a sleeping zebra.
It looks like a scene straight out of Lion King. You get the giraffes and some wildebeests, and the lions are in their den, and the zebra is just laying there. And it's kind of
into the Congo.
I like. I've had a couple of variations on this where one skipper will point out some of the animals on the bank, and it's like, over there's a 71 Impala.
I've never had that.
I would laugh at that.
I did.
I never had that one.
Because that's totally out of place, so that's what makes that joke funny.
Well, it's 71 because that's the year it opened, and there's Impala's the animal.
Yeah.
Okay.
We get it.
I know.
Sorry.
And I'm sober, ladies and gentlemen.
We can tell.
I'm also a little bit cranky. All right, then you go to the Lost Safari group. That the members of the group have been chased up a pole by an angry rhinoceros, and they're now trapped. And they're getting the point.
In the end.
In the end.
Which they just recently put the rhinoceros back into the scene. For whatever reason, they took it out for a little while, and only the hyenas were there. Sometimes you get a joke where they name one of the Lost Safari members, and they call him Mr. Ina, and the skipper will tell you to say, "Hi, Ina."
I've heard them call the guy on the bottom of the totem pole Pocahontas.
Yeah. And now I think the next scene is probably one of the most famous scenes in the ride, and that's where you pass Schweitzer Falls.
Well, you pass it from the front side.
Yes.
Well, yeah. So after you get past the African veldt, you meet two of the famous residents of the Jungle Cruise, and that's Old Smiley
and Ginger,
and his girlfriend Ginger.
She snaps.
That's right, Ginger snaps, which became much more prevalent in the Jungle Cruise, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Well, they actually got rid of that for a little while.
Yes, after the Grand Floridian incident.
Oh. Yes. Really?
Yeah. They took out Old Smiley and Ginger for a very brief period of time.
It wasn't that brief.
It wasn't. It was
it was for quite a bit. It was like
6 months. Yeah.
I think it was longer than that.
Everybody in Disney goes through sensitivity training. Ginger and Old Smiley were just long overdue.
Ginger, yes. Old Smiley was perfectly fine. I left his ass there.
So as you approach the Schweitzer Falls, and this is where you meet up with probably the worst jokes of the Jungle Cruise, and this is where the jungle skipper will tell you how he came to be in the jungle, and he shows you the back half of a plane that is wrecked. Now, fun fact: the front half was in Great Movie Ride, and now is gone. Right. But it is an actual plane. They just chopped in half and said, well, let's put one half in Great Movie Ride and one half in Jungle Cruise, and there you go. And he'll say some terrible joke like he took a crash course, and now he's just winging it. But it's plain to see that he's here to entertain you. And then he also tells you that he can point out one of his favorite stories, and he points to a book, and that's the Jungle Book.
Isn't it also the scene where he says his favorite plants?
Yeah. This is usually the part where he points out his favorite plants. But
this one, that one over there,
that one.
But this is also where you get to the famous hippos. The hippos wiggling their ears, and when they wiggle their ears, be careful because they're going to charge the boat. And for a long time, the jungle skipper would shoot at the hippos to scare them away. And then Disney, in their sage wise advice, took the guns away from the skippers and then gave them back.
Well, they had real guns that shot blanks.
Yes.
And then they took those away, and there was nothing for a while, and then now they're just regular props.
Yes, they're prop guns that snap, and they don't make any real sound.
We wants the redhead.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I will say one of my favorite jokes I've ever had on this is when the skipper pulls out the gun, and he's like, "It's okay, guys, I have a gun." And he points at it and goes, "Shoo! Shoo! Shoo!" And waves his gun at him.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the better jokes for this area.
Yeah, we had a skipper one time tell a joke about her boyfriend with the gun.
No, it was an ongoing theme throughout the whole attraction about her boyfriend. It was awesome. It
was pretty funny. I wish I could remember the jokes that she told.
There was a lot. It from the start to finish, it was all about her boyfriend and that she was alone, and it was really good.
Go back to episode 34. I want to say it's episode 34 where you guys told the story about it.
It's possible because it was that trip.
Yeah, it was your October trip. Go back and listen to episode 34 or 36.
No,
it's one of those two.
That. It was maybe the race trip.
It was either the race or the... No.
So that's either episode 13A and B or episode 34 and 36. You know what? Screw it.
Just listen to all of them.
Just go listen to them all.
Download them again.
Yeah, go listen to all of them.
It sounds like he's pulling numbers out of his ass, but he's pretty sure about what he says, and I'm sitting over here like, did we talk about that?
I'm impressed because I couldn't remember
Scott's
shit like that if my
Scott's
life
half
depended
Rain Man,
on
so
it.
I'm pretty.
He didn't edit those. That's what's impressive to me.
No, go back and listen. Yeah, I didn't edit those, but go back and listen to them. But I listened to them 3 times. You should too.
Just want to apologize to folks who do listen to them. I just want to remind you that Scott didn't edit those. So
no, I did not. But finally, after you pass by the hippos, you're introduced to some of our skipper's friends, or the former friends that he had on the canoe with all the skulls. Because right after that is the dance party of the headhunters and their party that's waiting to ambush you.
Well, they've really got their heads together at this point.
Well, they do. And that's where you encounter the headhunters that are chasing after you, and they're about ready to throw spears and all kinds of fun.
Are they supposed to move? Do they move?
They dance in a circle.
Well, those dance in a circle. The headhunters generally are supposed to rise up out of the bush and pretend to throw their spears at you. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
No, but Mikey just said these animatronics are 100% reliable.
They're 100% reliable 85% of the time. 85%, 80%, 60% of the time, they work every time.
A lot like me.
But finally, we come to the splendiferous, the most amazing, the 8th wonder of the world, the backside of water. And this is where your skipper will chant O2H. O2H.
Never got that.
Not once.
No.
Oh, I love that one.
Wouldn't technically it be OH2?
It should be, but fun fact though, the backside of water looks a hell of a lot like the front side.
Get you just as wet.
Yeah, but it's a little shadier.
And that leads us to a Walt Disney World exclusive, and that's the Mekong River,
which is kind of the most boringest part of this ride, in my opinion.
Yeah. It is.
Because this is when the cast member takes a seat, and you go through these underground tunnels that are supposed to look like an earthquake has hit them. And I mean, there's some treasures, and there's some monkeys, and there's a tiger with red glowing eyes, but there's really... It's not as much fun as the rest of the ride, in my opinion. And then you go through another little elephant area after you exit out.
Well, that's also, you get the joke where the skipper will tell you that you feel free to take pictures, because they've all got their trunks on. And then one elephant is off to the side, and he threatens to spray the boat, which never actually happens.
And the best part, and the most standing joke, is when you pass by Trader Sam.
Oh, yes.
He will gladly sell you 2 of his heads for 1 of yours.
Well, he is the head salesman of the
Either way you look at it, you still come out ahead.
Yes.
The best part about this is if you do get stuck here waiting for boats to dock, you get some extra jokes.
That is the best. If it's backed up, and they're totally unscripted, because you can tell.
Mm-hmm. Like, occasionally you'll get the cast member telling a story about how Trader Sam and his wife and they invited him over for dinner, and he asked Trader Sam, he's like, this stew is great, and he's like, oh, it's my wife. It's my wife's
That's
stew.
pretty damn dark.
It is. It really is. And he's like, she makes a mean stew. Yeah. Well, then the skipper goes, oh yeah, and I told him, she makes a mean stew, and he goes, yeah, I sure am gonna miss her.
I never got that one.
It's dark, man. It's pretty dark.
Yeah, cannibalism historically not a good punchline for many jokes. I don't know if you've seen the movie Alive, but it's not going to be in the comedy section at your local Cinematheque.
Yeah, but it's all in all, it's a fun ride, and eventually you have to return to civilization, where the skipper will then say, if you've had a wonderful time, my name is, and then they say their name, and this has been the world famous Jungle Cruise. If not, my name is, and they'll say Becky or their other, someone else's name, and this has been Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Or Small World.
Well, they'll tell you, out of all the cruises they've done that day, you guys have been the most recent.
Yeah, you guys are the most recent.
Or they'll tell you something like, you guys have been the first one that I haven't sank, or something like that.
Yeah. I like when you're pulling to the dock, they warn you to keep your hands, legs, arms, feet inside the boat. We don't want to scratch my dock.
Because you just painted it.
Yeah. When you come here, this is where, again, you're waiting for disembarkment. And they'll like point up ahead, and he's like, right there you see a dock, and that's another dock, and in the jungle we call that a paradox.
Yeah, they say that one a lot.
They do. They really do say that one a lot. All in all, it is a fun 13-minute ride that for the skippers they do every day for 34 times a day, and remind you to stay in school.
Mm-hmm. It's not just a job; it's a life sentence. But
there's some fun things. Does anyone have a real favorite joke of the entire cruise?
I like it when they go off script.
Well, I think it's when you do know what's coming. Like, you know what the next line should be, and that's not what you get. You get something really good, or when they're interacting, like, if you get the off-script line that pertains to the attraction that you're seeing, you can tell that's something they've been working on, and they're throwing it out because that's their bit.
Well, we also had a really good one where the skipper was verbatim doing the jokes that were scripted. And it was with the Mouse Rants people, Mouse Rants meetup, and all of us were in the boat. Pretty much all were on the boat were us. And we recited the jokes with her, and she was getting a kick out of it. So every time the joke would come up, she'd cue us, and then we'd all say it at the same time. And that was fun, too.
And those are the fun times when the skipper isn't just going off the script and kind of like saying the same thing over and over again, but really playing into the boat.
I think if you go on that expecting Kilimanjaro safaris, no. And I think, unfortunately, maybe some new people to Disney do that, and it's not what you're getting. So if you want your skipper to be good, you need to give them something to work with.
Fun ride. Now, obviously, Disneyland has their version. It's first. What about, Adam, what about some of the differences between the two?
Well, the hugest difference is the queue.
Yeah, well, the Disneyland queue is modeled after a boathouse of the Jungle Navigation Company instead of just being an outpost. The river trading company is located in a British colony, circa late 1930s. There's an actual old Union Jack flag hanging. It's all throughout the queue is cluttered with appropriate props. You got displays of pinned insects that you'd find in the various jungle areas. There's an old radio on top of a bookshelf. There's actually a chessboard that the pieces have been replaced with miniature animals and shotguns shells, replacing all the pieces. I actually like this queue better because there's more to look at. I like the upstairs, downstairs. There's an audio animatronic hornbill before you go back downstairs. They also have the big band music playing with it constantly getting interrupted with jungle-related news bulletins. I think this queue it's brighter. It seems to be more well decorated and more themed as opposed to the Disney World one.
But there are a lot of stairs.
I know, I like it though. To me, it's a distraction from the constant just switchbacks.
No, it is a better queue in my opinion. We've seen both, and I do like the Disneyland one better, but it is stairs. And after walking around a park all day, you don't want to go upstairs.
And then with the opening of Indiana Jones, they throw in some hints and nods to the Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah, some of the shipping crates in Disneyland have Dr. Henry Jones on them.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the actual audio interruptions start mentioning things about the Legend of the Forbidden Eye and the Temple of the Forbidden Eye.
Yeah.
They have a completely different audio cue. It's not Skipper Albert Awol. It's the Global Broadcasting Company.
Yes.
Voice.
And it's a different voice, and there's actually different voices, not just one guy. There's multiple people on there where they
where they have the chatter between the different boats.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, a fun queue, and actually, when you leave the Disneyland dock, you can actually see the queue for Indiana Jones.
Well, you actually pass by the Temple of the Forbidden Eye in Disneyland. I mean, the only real difference is the Disneyland ride is significantly shorter because they don't have that whole earthquake scene.
Yes.
But that's the major difference.
Well,
a lot of the jokes stay the same.
Yeah, and you start off with different rivers.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of your jokes are going to be the same kind of cheeseball jokes. But it's a fun ride. I kind of like the Disneyland one a little bit better because there isn't the kind of dead space that I feel the earthquake scene is.
Yeah. They have they have the Bengal tiger that can jump over 15 feet, but it's okay because you're only 5 feet away.
No, 13 feet away.
13 feet
away. He'll just jump right over.
20 feet, and it's okay because we're only 19 feet away. He'll jump right over us and land on the other side.
It'll be fine. No worries.
But both are very good. Very good. I like each one differently. I do like the queue for Disneyland. It's fun. The chatter between the two, and again, the music's almost the same. A couple of tracks are a little bit different. They keep it more in the late 30s because this one actually has a real date because it's tied into Indiana Jones.
Yes. And they updated it a few times to make it more relevant to Indiana Jones.
I prefer... I'd have to say I only like the Disney World one just a little bit more because it's a little bit longer. You get a little bit longer ride. But you're right. I think they need to do something with the Cambodian temple.
Well, I mean, the other thing is I find that at least the times that we rode the Disneyland one, they go off script more. Yeah. In Disneyland than they do in Disneyland.
Hollywood actors.
Well, it's not that it's the Hollywood actors; it's a local park. Mm-hmm. So these are people who actually go a lot more frequently than a lot of us in Orlando. A lot of the people in Orlando go, so they have to keep those jokes a little bit fresher. And at one point, they had a special event where you can actually drive the boats. They actually had a thing where they had a breakfast and a thing where the adults could actually drive the boats in California.
And then they had one of the scenes you could sit and eat your breakfast.
Yeah, you actually stopped and got off the boat and ate your breakfast there.
And I think it was like $300 a person or something.
It was expensive.
To not drive a boat because spoilers, it's on tracks.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So basically, you're just up front spinning a wheel like you're at Shoe Carnival.
I'd still do it, but not for that price.
Yeah. So, in 2013, as the holiday season drew near, Disney decided to plus this, to give it a holiday-themed overlay where the skippers kind of got a little bit of homesick, and they wanted to have a little holiday cheer. So the skippers decorated the queue, they decorated the jungle, and, they had some airdrop packages floating in the water. And this became the Jingle Cruise. And mainly this was, let's decorate some of the stuff for the holidays, and let's have some holiday-themed jokes. They are... If you think that the regular Jungle Cruise jokes are corny and bad, these are a billion times worse. Has anyone ever done the Jingle Cruise?
No. We've seen videos. We've never done it.
Are they so bad?
Hopefully for our November trip we might be able to do it, but I won't hold my breath because it's a little early.
Yeah, they usually started around early November, like the first week in November, 10th-ish. So right around that first or the second week in November that they start redoing this for the Jingle Cruise. There's really not much to it. They drop some packages and have them floating in the water. They'll put a Santa hat on some of the pygmy canoes. The gorillas will be wearing Santa hats. There's not too much. The lions have the zebra over for Christmas dinner. That's the extent of the joke. No, literally, that is it.
Joke.
Yeah, they should probably incorporate that one, Mikey.
They listen.
Yeah. There's fruitcake jokes. There's mother-in-law jokes. It's fun. It's we've done it once. I don't know if I really need to do it again. It's not something if I'm I would plan a trip around.
Now, if you were there for the holidays again, though, would you do it?
Of course.
I'm not saying planning a trip around it, but just
no, of course
is it something that you would do again?
Of course, because to me, I think the Jungle Cruise is one of those rides that I don't ever want to miss. I want to do this at least once during the trip.
I was so disappointed that it was shut down for refurb on my last trip. We had one day to go to Magic Kingdom, and it reopened the day after.
Yeah, it's to me, it's not. Again, if I'm planning a trip and it's down for refurb, I'm not gonna replan my trip for it. Although I'm not sure there would be a ride at this point that I've done everything that I would do that for. The Jungle Cruise is a ride that I want to do almost at least one time during my trip.
All right. So for those of us who have done it, nighttime or daytime?
Ooh. I like the daytime just a little bit better.
See, I like the nighttime better.
I will say we did the Jingle Cruise during the fireworks, during the Christmas fireworks at the Christmas party. And that was actually really cool because the fireworks are all around you and they're like blowing up over the jungle. It was pretty cool. Nighttime is really good though.
Yeah, I like the nighttime cruises better.
And they do a good job of spotlighting and using
the darkness kind of hides a lot of things and makes the animatronics seem a little bit more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
So, for shits and giggles, do you think that it would add anything to the attraction as far as like a little bit of depth if they gave your skipper, or if the boat you were on was equipped with like a low wattage spotlight?
It is. It is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
And do they turn it?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, obviously I've never ridden it. And I'm so happy that Disney is in line with my way of thinking.
Well, when you go in November, make sure you do a nighttime cruise.
Yeah, we'll do a nighttime.
Let's give it a shot.
It's a lot of fun. It really is. I got to agree with Tim and Adam. The nighttime is a lot of fun. It really is. If you get to do it, take a nighttime cruise. They're right. It does hide some of the kitschy animatronics. So real quick, favorite scene in the jungle? Adam.
Backside of water.
Tim.
That's a tough one. I like the gorilla camp scene.
Mikey.
I like when you're coming around and you got the totem pole thing happening. That scene, there's a hell of a lot of stuff going on in that one. There's a lot of animals. You got the totem pole. It's also the same one with the sleeping zebra, isn't it?
Yeah, the African veldt.
As you wind around, that's probably one of my favorite ones because there's a hell of a lot going on right there.
Yeah. For me, I think the Indian elephant scene. It's a lot of fun jokes. You don't ever get wet, but the threat of it is kind of fun, and there's just good times in there. I think this one will continue to receive updates. It's one of those rides that has continuously been plussed over the years, both in the queue and in the ride itself. I think they may add some, as time goes on, once they get finished with construction across Disney World, changing out Hollywood Studios completely, Hollywood 2.0. I think that they may focus, come back to Magic Kingdom and maybe do something with this because it could use some TLC.
I think we're a long way out before it gets done. I mean, don't forget we have Tron Coaster going in there too.
Right, possibly the 50th. I mean, that's still 3 years away. Maybe they can. Maybe not add a scene, but maybe plus up some of the stuff with some updated 2.0 animatronics.
I don't think they'd want them outdoors. 2.0 animatronics are very expensive.
That's true. Maybe put them in the Cambodian scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
the only
what that
place they
scene
could go.
needs. But then when you see that, you're going to be like, damn, that alligator was a piece of shit back there.
Exactly. It's going to be a rough stuff.
It's going to be like,
they should put the Nava River Journey chick in there. There you go.
That's what we need in Magic Kingdom. You're absolutely right. Aliens.
Yeah.
Not alien, but alien.
We had an alien. Stitch.
Yeah, put Stitch in there, man.
When we post the show to the group, comment below. Let us know your favorite parts of the Jungle Cruise. Let us know what you thought of it. If it's a must-do for you, if you never want to ride it again, if you had a bad experience, tell us your good skippers. Tell us your bad skippers. We don't care. We'll take them all. But I want to thank you guys for joining us this week on Three Sheets to the Mouse. If you enjoyed the show, let us know. And the only way to really do that is go over to iTunes, rate, review, subscribe. That's the best way for other Disney fans like yourselves to go find the show. The more subscriptions we have, the more we get played, the more people will be able to search for it easy. It'll pop up on the top Disney podcasts. And quite honestly, the more Ohana we get, the more family we get on Three Sheets Nation, the better this show's going to get. The best is yet to come. And babe, won't it be fine? So, if you want to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, we're over at 3 Sheets Podcast. If you're in the parks, tag us on your Instagram. Go over to the Purple Wall.
No Purple Wall.
Okay,
with your crony hands and
that picture, by the way, was the
like
freakiest.
the Crypt Keeper in Mickey ears.
Millennial pink Mickey ears.
So,
the Spirit jersey.
So, in this like phenomenon of walls in Disney, like background walls in Disney, I had no idea there was this deep dark underworld of Instagram walls.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I don't get it. It's also like the whole thing with Michael's photos with the flowers in the store. I don't quite understand what that's all about.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, that's a thing, because you can go down the floral aisle of your local Michael's and you can just grab a few sprigs of some, decorative sprays and stuff and put behind you, and then you get yourself a nice DSLR with a 50mm lens, and you can sit there and you come out with something that looks really great. But the thing is, you're crouched on a vinyl floor in the middle of your local Michael's.
It's really creepy.
Yeah.
Look it up. It's a thing.
It's a thing. It's the creepiest.
Or Monday through Saturday, you can do it at the Hobby Lobby.
But not Sunday.
Not on Sunday.
So
but better yet, tag us in your better picture than the wall.
Yes.
There's more at Disney than the walls that surround everything. I mean, shit. If I want to go take a picture in front of a wall, I'll go to my local superette.
Stay away from the bubblegum wall. Stay away from the blueberry wall. Stay away from the toothpaste wall. The moss wall.
Yeah.
The toothpaste wall?
Yeah, over at Nemo.
I know. Okay, we need to stop.
No,
this.
these are
like
things.
My head hurt.
These are things. These are things that are happening for millennial hipster people with it. Instagram-y. Instagram is a new thing.
This is how I know I'm fucking old.
I know.
I don't know what the fuck is going on anymore.
So I want to see some really interesting photos, not in front of iconic Disney structures or walls. Just something cool, and then hashtag that not my wall.
There you go.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So what annoys me most about this is not so much the purple wall or the bubblegum wall or the toothpaste wall or the blueberry wall, because those were painted on. Those were done for this specific purpose. But over in Animal Kingdom, Joe Rohde did a phenomenal a phenomenal job decorating the Harambe area. And they have a couple of walls that are now Instagrammy famous. And
but those are different.
But those were originally
the purple
done.
wall was just a wall that was painted purple.
Right.
It just happened to make a perfect Instagram backdrop.
Yes.
Because it was purple.
But what I'm saying is, I'm okay with the, and I take these in actual quotes from Disney's website, the "You Are Most Beautiful" wall, which is basically paintings on a wall that Joe Rohde and his Imagineers did on this Harambe wall, or the one with like a very rough sketch of Mickey that looks like it was, someone just drew Mickey on a wall in Africa, or the one with the bikes that are attached to the wall in Harambe Market. And those have been there since the park opening, and nobody Instagrammed those back in 1998.
Instagram wasn't around in 1998.
Yeah, that's probably why.
But nobody Instagrammed those in 2015 either. It's just a new thing that Instagram has really taken off.
I take pictures of those walls every time I'm there.
I know, I love those.
Disney is pushing these to Instagram because Instagram is free marketing for Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then they capitalize on merchandise after that.
Yes.
Newsflash, there's people hanging around Disney with really high quality cameras that'll take pictures of you in front of some really awesome stuff, and it doesn't cost you that much for the whole thing of your trip, man.
Well, you can actually get your photo pass taken at the purple wall and all these walls.
Yeah. I will not
the
be doing
photo
that.
pass. The only reason why we know that is because we were running through a rainstorm the last time we were in Disney in October, and people were lined up. There was a line for this purple photo pass wall.
Yup.
Like, it was one of the longer lines than some of the actual magic shots.
It's
now it's
nuts.
been repainted with a design on it.
Which kind of takes away from a backdrop, which is supposed to be simple.
Yeah.
It's now complex, and it distracts.
Yeah, but people are going to it, so...
Of course they're going
it's
to.
even more
It
popular
works.
than ever now.
You know what? If they want to stand in line for that, that's fine. I'll go over there, and I'll have a 10-minute wait for Tomorrowland Speedway.
There you go.
Like moths to a flame. But if you're in the parks, go over there, go over to the Purple Wall, go over to all these walls, and hashtag 3 Sheets Nation, make it a thing.
Oh, no, don't make it a thing. Not in front of the Purple
No,
Wall.
let's make 3 Sheets Nation a thing.
Make
though,
3 Sheets
because-
Nation a thing.
But not from the Purple Wall.
So, on your
Find
Instagram...
your other walls. Find the walls that are not being
interesting
used.
stuff. Take a picture of some interesting stuff in Disney World.
Take a picture in front of somebody taking a picture of themselves in front of the Purple Wall.
Hashtag 3 Sheets Nation.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is how
Hashtag
I roll.
3 Sheets
Not
Nation.
my
Make it
watches.
happen.
Photobomb the Purple Wall.
There you go. But if you really want to interact with us, head over to the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/3 Sheets. That's where you really become part of 3 Sheets Nation. We had Stephen Goatee, who's kind of officially now Sheeter of the Week.
He's the Ginger Kenyon.
He is the Ginger Kenyon. He runs like 6-minute miles.
He's crazy. That's insanity.
I know.
I heard he doesn't sweat.
I've heard he sheds his skin. And squirrels are afraid of him.
As a ginger, I can say we get enough sun, we will shed our
really
skin.
Bad spoiler for Avengers, so we need to change the topic really quick.
But you know, Stephen Goatee invited. I can't even tell you how many people we welcomed this last 3 days. Stephen Goatee invited a bunch of people to join the Facebook group. He shared it to another Facebook group. Share the group. Share 3 Sheets Nation. Put us out there. Pimp us. We're okay with that.
Just don't ask us for the money. Because I not choose bitch.
But come hang out with us there. If you have friends that love Disney as much as you do, invite them to join 3 Sheets Nation. But Mikey, if you're going to join 3 Sheets Nation, what do you got to do?
You got to answer the trifecta of questions, and they're terribly, terribly simple. I'm not going to bore you by telling you the questions right now, because then you can do homework. We want honest-to-God, real-life answers in the moment. So please answer the questions. That way we can approve you. We know that it's not Skynet trying to join us. And if you are an android, we want you in anyway, because, you're like animatronic 3.0.
Hey, I'm a big fan of Lieutenant Data.
So is C-Maj Namdug.
I know. I didn't know he was a Trekkie.
I'm a bigger fan of when he was in the Master of Disguise as the villain.
Or Independence Day. This Jungle Cruise has been fun. Love it. So, Adam, give me some closing remarks tonight.
Well, the reservations have officially been made at this point. It's a little too late to join us for dinners, but there will be other meetups during our OSM November Ultimate Sheet Up meetup. And for those of you who got in, awesome, you're in. At this point, it's a little too late. Hopefully, maybe if you're looking, somebody might cancel, but keep an eye on the page for the official meetup, and we will be posting some additional events where we'll just be hanging around the park and what have you.
And Adam, if they haven't been able to get to that reservation, stay tuned, because we'll be all of us will be in the parks at the same time. You know what? Just come find us, shake hands, give us a high five. Who knows?
Buy us a drink.
No, that's
or 3.
We can throw up some gang signs.
There'll be plenty of time to find us there, but we're getting close to we're on 6 months going out. Make sure if you want to join us now, because those bookings fill up. Rooms are going to fill up. Make sure you get down there.
We got everything we wanted, though, so
yes.
Props to Tim and Adam for sticking with that this
13
weekend.
Hours between the first reservation and the last reservation.
And if you could hear the cast member on the other end of the phone, because we actually had to call the 2 big ones in, because you can't do that many online. And when we told them how many people, you could hear the audible gasp.
They're like, what?
Yeah. She goes, did you say 32?
Are you a cult?
I'm like, yep. She's like, the one for
Beer Garden
was like, oh, That sounds like it's going to be a fun day.
What is Beer Garden's capacity? I want to know. Do we have like a quarter of it?
We probably have at least half of the bottom level, because that's where the big tables are.
I want to say it's probably 180 is their capacity.
Well,
that's
the Whispering Canyon actually broke down to 3 separate reservations,
and Beer Garden
was only 2.
Beer Garden's pretty big, but man, 30 people is going to make, Oktoberfest and Music Content is going to have their work cut out for them.
And one of us needs to be the Burgermeister.
Yes.
Tim, give me some closing remarks.
Well, they're going to be the last show we'll be on for a week or two, because we're going to Disney next week. So we won't be here.
And our meetup's on Tuesday.
Yep.
Next Tuesday.
Yes.
This Tuesday.
Well, when this drops, it'll be this coming Tuesday. It'll be this Tuesday.
So where can they find you guys at Disney World that day?
In Disney Springs.
May 15th.
In Disney Springs.
At
about 7:30 at Jock Lindsay's
Hangar Bar.
If you find the crystal skull there, maybe
make sure you polish it.
Yeah, polish it off.
Sorry.
Make sure you polish it. Make sure you shine it.
We may not stay there because hopefully Wine Bar George will be open, and they do have the Bourbon Trail now, so we might not stay at Jock Lindsay's, but
yeah, we might be trying to do the 3 Sheets Bourbon Trail that night. So
take plenty of pictures.
Oh, there will be plenty of pictures.
Oh, there will be plenty of pictures. Some of them might not be able to be posted, but there'll be pictures.
Yeah, make a good, solid album.
Yes. Make a nice big album of the Bourbon Trail.
I know how to post pictures in groups and not one at a time.
Adam says, not me.
Mikey, give me your closing remarks tonight.
All right, I got 2 for you. First off, I want to say that we talked about the Jungle Cruise, which means we talked about the Jingle Cruise, and maybe you do and maybe you don't know that the Magical Meltdown has a Jingle Cruise ugly Christmas sweater?
It's Christmas! Can I have some more?
Do they know it's Christmas time at all?
Whoa!
Man, I'm all fudding it up over here. An ugly Christmas sweater themed shirt that you can purchase over at themagicalmeltdown.com through the TeePublic portal. Was really popular last year. Hopefully it's popular again this year. You can never buy one too early if you like Christmas in July. And secondly, this is kind of a promotion of a different podcast. But if you like the Jungle Cruise a little bit, there is a really cool podcast you can listen to called Tales from the Jungle Cruise. And it's Jungle Cruise spelled Crews. A guy has former and sometimes current cast member skippers of the Jungle Cruise, and they come on and they talk about their experiences, what goes on, and stuff like that. But most notably, he actually had a skipper that was there for opening day in Disneyland.
Ooh,
nice.
As a guest, and I'd be lying if I told you what episode it was, because I can't pull that much shit out my ass like Scott here. But it's worth checking out, and you can find it probably where most podcasts are sold. And that's all I got.
So,
there's also a stand-up comedy routine down in Orlando that is former and current skippers. I don't know where they're performing, but it's somewhere in downtown Orlando.
You know what? It's a fun ride. I enjoy it. The jokes they're corny, but you know what? They make Tim laugh with his dad joke of the week, or dad joke of the day.
No, I haven't done them in a while. I'll have to go back to those.
But I want to thank you guys all for joining us on this episode of 3 Sheets to the Mouse. So from all of us here at 3 Sheets to the Mouse, thank you for making our show part of your Disney life. Thank you for your time, this time, and until next time, so long for just a while.
And thank you!
Congratulations to our dockside crew who won their first cricket match of the season. We understand it was an overwhelming victory. A what? A forfeit. And next week, when the opposing team shows up, I'm sure they'll do just as well.